also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to the Mushing Alaska podcast. Sean, tell me what you're doing. For anyone watching, he's got a dog next to him. He's got some trees behind him. He's got a bluebird sky and some wonderful looking clouds. And so tell us what's going on with the latest adventure in Sean's life.
I'm just at the gas station and at the Talkeetna turnoff. Just driving today from Denali down to Anchorage, and gonna fly to Bristol Bay tomorrow. But I got a busy day today, and I'm with my new dog Swenson, who's enjoying a break from the car. And yeah, beautiful. Just been a streak of beautiful days here in most of Alaska. And yeah, just enjoying my last my day on land.
Nice. Before what will be like 6-ish weeks of you out fishing for salmon?
Yes.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, that transition after 6 weeks on sea of going on land has to be pretty fun, right?
Yeah, it's I'm not even thinking about it because it's a long way away. But yeah, it is. It's always a hoot coming back from fishing and re-entering and reintegrating. Even though it's only 6 weeks, it's not like that long. But you just, you're on a boat with two other dudes, and it's just always kind of an interesting experience coming back and also going fishing. It's going to be fun, and got a couple of my good friends that I'm fishing with, and we're going to be ready to work our tails off and hopefully make some money and stay safe out there.
Nice. Got to rock and roll, make some money. It's nice that you guys have some continuity. I think this is your third season with the same crew?
Yeah, third season on the same boat, and the same captain all 3 years. The guy I'm working with on the deck is his second year, so no greenhorns on the boat, and so we should only be better at our jobs in theory. And there's always something elements of it that are out of our hands, but we feel pretty good going into it, and just kind of starting to get into the mindset. It's hard. They've been on the boat already for 5 days. They took it from Seward across the Cook Inlet through Lake Iliamna and down the river into Bristol Bay, and are just on their way right now as we speak to Naknek, where there's some stores and stuff to get last minute goods. And then I'm going to fly into a village near Naknek called King Salmon and probably flag a cab, and then they'll drive me down the road. And yeah, looking forward to getting this thing started. But there's definitely an element of like excited to do it, also kind of dreading it, and but I'll be happy once I'm on the boat and with the boys and locking in.
Nice. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure there's that. Maybe not typical to stepping to the start line of a race, but I'm sure there's some of the similar anxiety that you go through before you're about to go out and do something for a while, with that maybe is in the most ideal conditions for some of it, So
yeah.
But anyways, before we get lost in the world of Sean going out for the fishing season, we are going to transition. We have a great episode for you all today. Our guest, Samantha Lalonde, she was wonderful having on. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that at the back end, but there has been some news in the world of mushing and the Iditarod, etc. So we kind of were looking at a couple different things and narrowed it down to a few things to talk about today. But first being, we'll start with David Pike and the Pike Legal Group. they announced the 5-year sponsorship of the race. And so Sean was telling me a little bit more about David Pike. So yeah, kind of just fill me in a little bit on that one.
Yeah, he's been a big sponsor of the race for a number of years, and I've met him before. I think it was while I was running Iditarod, so I met, like, everyone I met in those years was like at the race start. It's hard to remember the exact moment, but yeah, he's also does the announcing for the Anchorage start. The guy that you might maybe hear on the stream that's like, and now approaching the chute, bib number 3, Samantha Lalonde from Fairbanks, Alaska. Da, 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 da. And so he's I think part of the deal is he gets to do that, and he's great at it too. And yeah, what a vital part of the finances and just general support. It's not just money. He gives a lot of time to the race too, and yeah, so we're, I think, all very grateful to have him commit to 5 years of supporting the race.
Nice, awesome, right on. Okay, so yeah, that there wasn't. I don't think there's too much more on that, but just worthy of mentioning. The other thing we were going to talk about was the passing of a couple of folks related to the Iditarod in the form of Dan Seavey and Rain Hall Rollins. So obviously, Sean, I was going to ask you, did you have any run-ins with Dan in your time working with Dallas, or just in general in the scene? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Dan is the third ever musher to finish the Iditarod. He wrote a book that's called The First Great Race, because he was in that first race, and it's a good read, and I would recommend it. I'm recommending it, having not read it myself, but I know a lot of people that have, and they liked it. And that first race was more about, can you get there, rather than who's getting there first. And then when I was working at Dallas's, he was there for for that winter, like a lot of the winter, like for a few weeks. He would be with his dog team. I mean, this is like 2021. Yeah, like 4 years ago, and he was mushing at our local trails, and he you could tell he had a great way with his dogs, and I didn't get to really get to know him super well, but I mean, he was in his 80s and still out there on the trail, and I never once remember us having to come and help him out or rescue a dog team that he lost or something. He was self-sufficient with his team, just up to the last couple of years of his life. And he's been super supportive of his family, having had, all his kids run sled dog races. And of course, Dallas, he was there, at the 2021 win, having a meal with him after he came to the finish line. So yeah, he's absolute pioneer of distance mushing and racing. And so I'm sorry to hear about his loss, but I mean, he lived a full life, and I think his funeral is tomorrow, which is the 21st of June. And I bet you there's going to be so many people there. Just a testament to how far reaching he was in this community here in Alaska, around sled dogs and mushing and Iditarod. And so, yeah, I was just bummed to hear that. But yeah, he lived a full life from what I know.
Gotcha. Nice. Awesome. Thank you for sharing a little bit about that, your experience with him, and just what you know. just looking at a little bit of information on Rain Hall Rollins. She is a longtime resident of Homer, and she was a little bit younger than Dan. It looks like she was 68 when she passed. In a summary version of what I could find on her, uh, it says that she was pivotal in the leadership and organizational drive, pivotal for the Iditarod's formative years, from managing sports logistics and media outreach to directly handling sled teams. She helped institutionalize and elevate the race, building a foundation that endures today. So, just we wanted to at least bring that up, some of the news within the mushing world, and then I think probably the most depending on where your opinion is, but I think like the most interesting news was the Iditarod's announcement of an expedition class. And we have a gentleman from Norway. So I looked this up to try to make sure I could say it right. I believe it's Kjell Inge Rorke. He's a multi-billionaire, and he's contributing some of his money to the race. And there's a lot of kind of residual stuff that goes with that. It sounds like the entry fee for mushers is cheaper this year. The total purse is got some more money to it, and also some of that money is going towards like the villages as well. Sean and I kind of have talked a little bit about this. And well, I'm not going to say anything before you chime in and get a chance to like speak for yourself. But what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think I'm still kind of processing it, but as is the entire sled dog community, I think it's great to have not one but two headlines that are to do with funding and sponsorship, something that the race it's going to be a constant battle to raise funds for such an expensive event that's kind of more localized to Alaska. But you've got someone like Kjell that is coming from overseas there in the Norwegian scene. He's been working with Thomas Berner a lot. It seems like they've grown close, and he's helped facilitate the last 4 years of Kjell's mushing experience that he's gained both in Norway and in Alaska. He was here out on the trail running just his own team of people and dogs down the trail this year. He didn't do the southern Yukon River part down to Grayling and Vic and
the Caltag too.
Yeah, the Caltag, but they did do I'm pretty sure from the start all the way across the state and to Nome, and had plane and snow machine support. And so yeah, it's not like it's just some dude that's like, here, take my money, I'm running Iditarod, but there is an element of like, yeah, he's a huge support of this race, getting a big chunk of change, and part of that's going to go to him being able to, obviously you mentioned it's going to help several facets of the race, including the mushers, dogs, villages, and prize money, but also so part of that's going to go to supporting that expedition class that he's kind of creating through his sponsorship. And it raises like obvious questions that I think the Iditarod's very aware of, and they're kind of trickling out information. We're 9 months or so before the race, and they you wonder, is this like just a one-off? Is this he had this, sign this big check to the race, and so he's doing this, or is this like maybe the beginning of something that could be a little bit more accessible to like people that don't have that big of a wallet? It's tough to say, but I think there's certainly desire from the mushers and from the sled dog community to have a non-competitive class, especially with there being smaller fields in recent years, allowing for the less competitive mushers. That kind of makes them have to maybe run a tighter schedule, a faster schedule than they would otherwise have to run, even if you just go back as recently as like 6 years ago. When you have, 50, 60, 70 mushers, 2017 comes to mind. There was, I think, 70 something mushers in that race. And so you can run a 14-day race. I wonder, you wonder what was you look at the Red Lantern pace over the last, decade, and it's gone up and up and up and up. And so if we're not going to be able to get 70 people in, which I would bet never get to do that again, with just the fact that everything is 5 times more expensive, property, dog food, and fuel and flights and everything is more expensive, and that's not going to change. So then you wonder, okay, how could we include more folks in this race that aren't necessarily trying to run the Iditarod in 10, 11 days? Is that just the way that the race is going to be? Or maybe we can do an expedition or recreational class of this race. And so this is kind of seems like a beta test of that. But, doing that would take more money moving forward into the future. So I think if they had the money, they would do the expedition class. I think everybody would support that. But it's just not there. And now Shell comes in, he has the money, and they're like, all right, let's try this thing. And yeah, I'm curious, does he get a distinct belt buckle? Is it a more of a, ceremonial thing? Is it, does he get the same, belt buckle everyone else gets? Is that even really that important, a belt buckle? It's just like, is it more about the experience? All these, it just is a real kind of complex, topic that I don't really have all the answers for, but it seems like raises a lot of questions, but I think it brings a lot of good too. And I'm kind of feel like I'm not really sure of.
Well, I'll jump in. I think
sure.
It's still pretty early to like, there's a lot of, you go on Facebook, you check the post, and there's all sorts of, left one side and right the other side. And, you and I have had a couple conversations with some other mushers as well. And like, I think there's still more to be determined and figured out. I think what we're seeing, though, in general, is the idea of an innovative idea. It could be, if executed right, that is bringing more money to the race. It could hopefully open up, like you said, new opportunities for a less competitive class in the future. Maybe that means there's more mushers that are included. That means more people are signing up. That means more money is being brought in that way. So I think, we all rush to judge, and I think that there's still some to be determined that's going to happen with this. I think that, it's interesting, sometimes I'm like, I find myself on one side, and then I read something and I find myself on the other side, if like you said, Sean, if he did it this last year, what's the need to do it again this year? But, yeah, I mean, we'll just see, I think they're going to figure it out. I think there's more to be determined. There's more to be announced. I don't think it's been like made public, but I think like the mushers within the committee of whoever represents the mushers for the committee, like they've seen a breakdown of how the money is going to work, and it sounds like a lot of them are happy about that. So like, before we rush to judgment, on paper it kind of sounds like a billionaire is paying to play, right? But then it's like, okay, well he's like Sean said, he's been doing this for 4 years. He's partnered with Thomas Varner, and like, let's give this a chance. Let's not shoot the idea of it down so quick before we even know all the details. So that's kind of, I think, where we're at. I don't know if you have anything more to add to it, but that's kind of, like, you're going to go fishing and you're going to get back here in, 2 months, whatever. And there's going to be new information about it, I bet, between that we can, but a lot of it is kind of speculative for us to just be like, well, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? They're going to figure it out. They'll let us know. That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah. I think, a big question really, like, would mean is that because he's already going to have this expedition class, and that means there's going to be veterinarians that are associated with his schedule and volunteers to be with his schedule, and maybe race officials as well. Well, if they're already there and in place for that the slower schedule of a race, does that open the door for other people to be in that? Or is it like, well, he paid the money, it's his thing? I think that would be fair too. But yeah, there's just, to my knowledge, there was just the one announcement by the Iditarod, which had like a paragraph of information. So there's just, then you go into the comments and it's, you get a little tidbits of more information. And I think that it seems like there's way more support for it and excitement around it than there is people shooting it down. But there's, definitely some very vocal voices saying, hey, whoa, what the heck? Where's this coming from? This is out of left field. So, those guys have everyone has a right to get in that conversation. And it's good to have that kind of open discussion. So yeah, I think you touched on it nicely.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, let's move on to give our little kind of introduction to our time with Sam. We recorded this a couple weeks back, and we appreciate Sam being able to take some time to join us. We kind of were talking about it. We learned that she's doing her own kennel, so she's like, that's it. That's and she's in the process of that. So good for her on that. And talk to me. What were some of your takeaways from our time with Sam?
Yeah, a few. I would say, first of all, like we talked about her race and some of the things that happened. She hurt her ankle. She had a super powerful dog team that was tricky to maneuver around some of the checkpoints early on, and even later, halfway into the race. It seemed like, well, you said this, to me after recording, like it almost seemed like she was kind of recounting her race for the first time. Like she'd probably talked about it with other people, of course, but like, since you talk about it, it's one thing to talk about it with, a friend or family, but we of course have like
you've done it
specific, and, I've done it and you've followed it. And so we have like more specific questions, and she can talk about more things. And so she could just see kind of the numbers going through her head, like, yeah, oh yeah, that run, and oh yeah, that moment, and it was just kind of cool to see kind of what felt like a really like authentic account of rookie Iditarod run, and yeah, super easy to get along with. I felt like all of our guests lately, and most of the time, we just fly by. Time flies by, and
every time
I feel like it was a longer recording. And yeah, she's super exciting times for Sam right now. Summer, she's moved on from Dallas's, but has great relationships with the kennel. But she's got her own kennel started. She's getting some dogs from Ryan Olson. who is a Copper Basin champ a number of years ago. And so she's got some great dogs. She's got puppies that are in the works. Her partner, Tucker, has got an epic website
Certified
set up for them.
badass.
And then he's also in his own right a musher. He's run the Copper Basin before, I believe, and he's also did the 300-mile I did a ski this year, and
he won it, right?
Yeah, he won that the skiing, which it was limited skiing because he was going through the gorge, and the gorge was several dozen miles of no snow. So there was, I don't think he skied the whole way, but no one could, but yeah, he was in the ski division and did well. And so, yeah, it was really cool. It's just fun to feel, Sam just feels like one of and Tucker just feel like they could just be breaking bread with us and getting together for a beer, and that's kind of how it felt talking to Sam.
Yeah. No, I mean, most of the time you've at least had some experience in some form or fashion with most of our guests. So for you, the connection's easier, and so sometimes for me, I'm like, how do I fit in here? Cause sometimes you're so well connected or whatever. But, for this, it was, like you said, it was just she was just, I felt like she was sitting at the table with us. We were just chilling. We could have, I feel like we left a lot on the table. We could have gone down a lot of rabbit holes. And, one thing that is nice is it's nice to hear, especially someone who's not, rookie or someone who hasn't done it too many times. It is nice to let them relive their story, there's not going to be too many people in their life usually that know what it's like, So, for all those reasons, like you just said. So anyways, I don't know if you have anything else you want to conclude with before we go ahead and just transition over to the interview.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So thanks, Sam, for coming on, and hope you all enjoy listening to it.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Certainly. Now that we're deep into the off season, what are things looking like on your end right now?
Yeah, Sean and I were just kind of chatting about it. I officially moved into the house that we've owned for about 2 years. So I've been up here for maybe, 2 months now, up in Esther. And yeah, it's been a busy springtime. Went to the Brooks Range with Ryan Olson, and then basically came back, and we're actually getting ready to add 8 dogs to our chaotic life, and some puppies at the beginning of June. So we're getting ready for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's the how's have you felt? Your tummy? You thinking 4 puppies, 11 puppies? What are we thinking?
This is her first litter, and she's already a tiny female. She's about 40 pounds. I don't know. I'm thinking 6.
All right.
Hoping 6. We don't want more than that, but
yeah. Okay. Well, by the time that we release this, it'd probably be pretty close to their birth date. So yeah. What are you taking, Brendan? What's your number?
I'm gonna take 5.
Taking 5.
Yeah.
I'll take the over. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 5 girls, 2 boy puppies.
Ooh.
Oh, you're calling it like that. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Her mom had 6, and then her grandma had 6, and I think her great grandma had 8. So it's good numbers.
Do you have are you doing themes for your litter? Or are you just gonna name your dogs like Ralph and like Amy?
We have it's not really a theme. Because we've been talking about this forever. This is our first litter. Gotta name one Mustang Sally after my mom. And what else are we thinking? There's some random names. Tucker really likes Greg Stubbins, I think.
Greg?
Greg.
Greg Stubbins, full name. I love a dog named Greg. I love human names for dogs. It's the best.
Yeah. So we're
Greg,
we're all over the place.
Mustang Sally. It's going to be the anti-theme litter.
Yeah. Yeah. We're thinking
That's
doing
exciting.
Grandpa Ovid too after my grandpa.
Nice.
I wanted to name a dog or a kid Ovid, so it's just the time.
Right. Okay. Well, that's exciting. Puppies, new dogs, new property, new kennel. Do you have a new name for it, or are you guys just calling it? We have sled dogs, so we don't need it.
We are officially the Lost Sourdough Outfitters.
Lost Sourdough Outfitters. I like that. Okay.
I just kept a sourdough loaf right before we got on, so.
All right.
Baking bread and riding sleds. I like it.
Oh, what?
I like it.
Tucker is all over that.
Yes.
That's not Sam.
Yeah, that's definitely Tucker.
Riding sleds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord. That is great.
Yes.
Okay. So are you all trying Outfitters? Does that mean you guys are trying to do like some kind of custom tour thing down the line, maybe?
We've always thought about doing like expeditions, like small expeditions, just overnighters or something. Our property has incredible access. I mean, we live somewhat close to the Robinsons. They left and went straight to Nome from their house. We could do the same thing, I think, crossing one road and a railroad track. So we've got some really awesome trail in the backyard, and so we've always thought about just like doing some overnighters, leaving from the house and going to set up camp 10 miles down the trail or something. So to begin with, we're just gonna go have fun with the sourdough dogs, we call them.
Yeah, that's a cool, like, the order.
Shout out to the website. I just gotta say it. Shout out to the website.
Okay.
Lost Sourdough Outfitters.
Brennan's been like in the weeds.
Yep. I gotta pitch that. Absolutely. Is that Tucker's doing all that work? Is that what it is?
We together built the website. He did a lot of the writing, all of the very clever write-ups on the dogs and everything. But yeah, so
the website was called lostsourdoughOutfitters.com. That's the website?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's cool. It's like, doesn't have kennel in it, which is kind of nice. And
yeah, that's our goal.
Yeah. Like, you guys got other things going on. It's not just sled dogs. We're making bread.
You're making bread?
Whose recipe is that? The Uncle Sven? Who's got the Uncle Sven?
Tucker does. And yeah, there's a big write-up on that. It's how, gosh, I have a Auntie Beth. She's actually just a good friend of the family. That's kind of who Uncle Sven is for Tucker. In the write-up, gosh, it explains, you go over to like have pancakes at his parents' house, and they always have to share the Uncle Sven story.
Nice.
There's actually there's a painting in the Museum of the North up here in Fairbanks that has, it's a photo of a sourdough, and he is like taking off into just this whiteout storm, and it's called the Lost Sourdough, or the Last Sourdough. I forget now. And yeah, it was like one of our first dates that we went to the museum, and Tucker was like, "Wait!" I had a big nerd out moment there, and then it's a really good name. So that's our kennel.
Nice.
LSO. Cool. I think of like your like order of operations of like running the Iditarod and then starting your own kennel. Like I mean, it's probably happened before, but it is kind of a fun way of that things have unraveled for you. Unraveled means, I don't know, that's not the right word, but it's developed for you. Having run one of Dallas's teams, and then you've been working at other kennels before then, and then you guys have been cooking up starting your own kennel. You got your property that you and Tucker purchased with a cabin a couple years ago, and now you're finally moving in. But I guess we should just kind of rewind the clock slowly.
Yeah.
And start by the next most recent thing. So you just went to, of course, we got the Iditarod, but you just went to the Brooks Range with Ryan Olson and another Iditarod veteran and Copper Basin 300 champion. Yeah. And you guys did just a fun run. Did you guys go caribou hunting? Hunting? What was up?
The goal was to get caribou. We did not. But yeah, we went out for 5 days or something like that. And we went down. Usually we go to the Alaskan Gorge side, but this time due to warm weather, we went to the Galbraith side, which was really fun. I've never been over to that side. She took me out 2 years ago before I actually came down to Dallas's, and we went to the Alaskan Gorge side, and that was so much fun. This time, we went to the Galbraith side, and we set up base camp about 8 miles out on the, I might butcher the name, Iditarod River, or I'm drawing a
Brendan, you got that?
Nope. Sorry.
Me neither. I've never been there. But keep dropping names. I like the names. They're good.
Well, we camped. I believe it's Iditarod. I could be very wrong on that. But camped out there, and that was the first time I ran dogs kind of just like with no goal for the run. It was more of a fun run, just out there goofing off and having fun. So that was really, really nice to be out there after training, for about 2 years for Iditarod with Dallas. To get out there and just have fun with the dogs. Just, go for a 10-mile run and goof off and stop a bunch. But yeah, we didn't get a caribou, but we saw a whole bunch of deadheads that we collected. And yeah, it's
you mean like antlers?
Yeah, with the skull and everything. So much fun. Cool. Favorite things to do.
Nice.
But yeah, it was wonderful and kind of a full circle moment for, I think, Ryan and I. I worked with Ryan, in 2022, handled for her, and ran the quest and everything with her dogs. And this was her last trip with those dogs until she kind of passes the torch to Tucker and I. So it was a really fun trip, kind of a big closing moment for her. Yeah, and then pretty emotional, I think, for both of us as well. Running those guys, all those dogs that I had in my team. They'll be moving in about 2 weeks here, so pretty special.
On your Quest 300 team in 2022.
Yeah. Most of those 2-year-olds that I had ran with me.
Nice. That's exciting. That's cool. Yeah. That's. I feel like that's like Ryan has had such an awesome mushing career and done the thing,
Yeah.
and has nothing left to prove really. So, that's good for her and great for you guys. And we keep rewinding the clock now. We go back to Iditarod 2025. And, you've been working for Dallas for 2 years almost at that point. And I felt like you came in like pretty, like not before Dallas, you were probably pretty close to ready to run the race, if not ready, and then you've spent a couple winters there. You learn, what he's got going on. There's been lots of people coming and going there, but, I feel like you came into the start line feeling like, all right, we're going to get to the finish line. We might even certainly a contender for Rookie of the Year. And of course, it's this weird race, 1,100 miles with a random 300-mile side quest.
Yeah.
And I bet you that was really difficult, but yeah, just firstly, congrats on Rookie of the Year.
Thank you.
Let's go.
And getting to the finish line and running an awesome race. You were just like always moving pretty fast, like one of the faster teams in that middle of the race. And certainly people in the front, they're not going to be the fastest teams because they're in the front. But yeah, just amazing to see you out on the trail. It was fun for me.
The strong close. And like I'm looking at your miles per hour as the race went on, you got stronger. So
when you got to the start line, like, were you thinking like, all right, this is going to be really hard, but like, we got this and I'll be able to handle whatever comes my way, including like almost shattering your ankle?
I mean, honestly, when I got to that starting line, I was pure panic mode. I get a horrible anxiety just when it comes to, making sure the dogs are perfectly okay in every, state of mind, their conditions, all of that. So I was nervous as all hell. But, I kind of took that and I was like, well, this is good. I don't want to be too confident, too cocky, any of that, because that's when things go downhill. So I felt like I was in a kind of the perfect state of mind to start. And yeah, prior to Dallas's, I was definitely ready, but I am so thankful that I spent 2 more years working with him, training with him for his 2024 Iditarod, and then kind of taking the reins for my team for 2025. And yeah, it helped me feel so much more confident in just knowing exactly what I needed to do in kind of every situation. So, but yeah, it's hard for me to put into words kind of just a generalized feeling about Iditarod, but it was hard. It kicked my ass.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. So obviously you said you were kind of a wreck, nervous, anxious, getting to the start line. Even before that, though, like, where was your head at with the change? Were you like, okay, I guess we got to go with this? Did you want it to stay to the original route? What was your thoughts on that even beforehand?
Yeah, I had a lot of various feelings about it. Hearing about the conditions of the trail and it being my rookie year, I'm like, you know what? I honestly would be more happy with a Fairbanks start. And also my team is extremely strong. And as you guys probably saw throughout Iditarod, and so knowing that going, prior to the race, I was like, well, I'm more concerned about my team going through these low snow conditions and all of that, and me as a small musher being able to control them. So I was pretty satisfied with the move. However, I was bummed. There's another side of me that was bummed that I didn't get to go through the gorge and the burn and all of that, because that's a big part of the race. But all in all, I was pretty happy with the change.
And so, yeah, like sure, you're right. I'm sure. At what point did you during the race were you like, man, the other route?
Yeah, gosh, 200 miles in.
But yeah, so like, how would you describe that first? I guess you took your 24 in the lotto, so just kind of get us there. I'm sure getting out of the gates you were anxious and nervous. Did you feel like at what point did you kind of settle in?
Yeah, that first run, it was beautiful. I camped about 30, I'm drawing a blank now, about 35 or 40 miles in, right along the river. It was a hot start day. And so I found a nice patch of shade and settled into a couple-hour camp. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, here we go. Like, we got this. This is just, we do this every day. And so it didn't take long for me to settle in. But then the nerves, after a couple of camps, the nerves kind of started to roll in. As far as like, wow, we have a long ways to go. So yeah, we camped, and then I came into Nenana, tried to multiple times. And yeah, 16 dogs, super powerful team, and they were just amped. I started with 9 2-year-olds, and they were so stoked. Coming into Nenana, it was pretty icy with low snow. And so stopping my team was a struggle, especially right off the gate. So I see, I see the little trail, the bank to get into the checkpoint, and my dogs take the snow machine trail. And thankfully, I G'd them back over and we did a big loop. So now we're going the opposite directions. I'm like, all right, now I got to turn you guys around again. And I think we did that. We did that a couple times. And then finally, I got them to take the bank and into the checkpoint. And prior to me getting into the checkpoint, I had to unhook quite a few dogs from their tug lines, because I was like, I know I'm not going to be able to pull in and fully stop the team. And I was blowing through. So I unhooked quite a few tug lines, and Dallas and Tyrell were there, and I was super flustered. So I was pretty disappointed in like that first checkpoint coming in. Disappointed with myself that I felt like I couldn't control the team and all of this. They were too powerful. And but yeah, then we blew through, had a beautiful camp again, and I think that was definitely an eye-opener for me. Like, okay, I definitely have to make changes in how I'm running the dogs due to their power and my capabilities of slowing them down and making sure everybody's good. So the first 100 miles was like, oh shit. So this is a really powerful team, and we've got to get this under control, or else it's not going to end well. So
yeah, all the 2-year-olds were like, pretty sure the finish line's this next stop here, boys.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, well, I think that's like such a grass is greener situation with the route. Like just talking about not being able to control your team. I mean, you control them. I think you 95% control them. It's just those little bits coming into the checkpoints.
Yeah.
But had you been on the original route, you're going down the burn, and I'm sure people in the race would be like, God, I can't believe they didn't change it to Fairbanks. And now we're in Fairbanks, and you're going down to freaking Grayling, and people are like, I can't believe they changed it to Fair. It's just like either way was the wrong choice. It feels like, but yeah, you had a very how many miles would you say you roughly had on your team that winter? Like it's got at least 3,000, or training was rough with this shitty winter. It was a little lower than that, but I'm kind of they were obviously in great shape.
Yeah, absolutely. They were so powerful. I'd say close to 3,000. I know Dallas changed kind of the amount of miles we were thinking of putting on this younger team compared to the previous years, just to kind of see, how they do in the race and how the training goes. And so we dropped the overall mileage a little bit. So yeah, close to 25 to 3,000 miles. But yeah.
Yeah. You got like the 70-degree start in Fairbanks.
Yeah.
People are sweating balls. It was crazy to see. Like the people were literally like drenched in sweat. Like even the patrons, and I remember seeing Nick Petit just like, just face just soaking wet in sweat. What's his face? The guy, some other guy that was wearing like a seal.
Sealskin hat.
And he was sweating. I was just like, I was hot standing behind the camera, and then you're just like all the feels of the Iditarod start is crazy. And
I remember starting in my parka because I like had it, I was camping, so I had a sled. I started it in my parka, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
I'm assuming you had a t-shirt underneath that, but I don't think you did.
Yeah.
You're fully layered up.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first couple runs are like, there's not eventful in the sense of your team's a little out of control in the Nana, and you're like, also shit, we got 1,000 miles to go. But I feel like from my perspective, I'm not running the race at all, so my perspective kind of blows. But the running into like those first the last few runs going to Ruby, that long run going to Ruby, but then even before that, teams were like Rutrow Scooby, here pretty early on in the race, like some tough, slow trail conditions and Mowgli and then of course the sand thing but yeah, you were 100 miles in, so I guess kind of pick up where you.
Yeah. Banana was an eye opener for me. I mean, and that's the very beginning of the race. And then got to Manly Hot Springs, and I actually dropped a dog, one of the 2-year-olds. And that got to me. That definitely got to me. I was like, man, I'm only in Manly Hot Springs, and I'm having to drop a dog already. And anyways, yeah, we continued on, and it was kind of, there were good sides to dropping the dog because I obviously had so much power. And so yeah, we continued, and then gosh, went through that sandstorm, and that was a hoot. To say the least. I went through that at around 2 or 3 a.m. And all of a sudden, it was beautiful trail, punchy and soft and all of this, but well-marked trail, all of this. And then all of a sudden the dogs just started sprinting, and I looked down and there's tussocks and there's glare ice, and I'm like, oh shit. And so, white knuckling the stanchion. And at one point I think, as everybody else did, tipped their sled. And so now they're dragging on the glare ice, just hauling, and got that situated. Luckily, I got a snow hook hooked into one of the tussocks, and that held the team. Sort of back up, and I was like, okay, where are we? And I saw a trail marker quite a ways down. And I was like, okay, well, I got to get those guys over. So I kept hauling them over. And then we got to that trail marker, and this is kind of where things went to shit. We got to that trail marker, but the dogs I'm guessing they were continuing to follow another team's trail that maybe also went through. And yeah, all of a sudden that one trail marker was gone, couldn't find it. And so again, I think, as everybody else has said, it's just, you're out there and you can't see anything. And so I think I stopped for a good 30 minutes, and I was like, well, prior to that, I was just going in circles. I was just like trying to find any sort of sign of another dog team, tracks, trail marker. And then, yeah, I stopped the team, and I was like, well, got to figure this out. I was able to hook down. And so I walked up to all the dogs, took their booties off and everything. And it was a shit show. I think we spent another hour and a half out there. And the funny thing is, I saw a red light and then a headlight, which I thought it was a snow machine. And I was like, oh, this is the camera crew. Like, these guys are just hearing me like cuss and not have fun. So I directed my dogs towards that light, towards where I thought this camera crew was. But then they just kept moving. And like, I felt like I was just like circling around them. Turns out that was Anna Barrington. And we both saw her dogs have little red lights. Her lead dogs have red lights. And yeah, it turns out I was just kind of like circling around her, and she was just kind of circling around me, both thinking we were snow machines. And yeah, we were. So then I was like, well, you know what? We got stuck on a big patch of glare ice, and all my 2-year-olds were like, what in the world is happening? Like, we don't like this, Mom. We don't like this at all. And again, stopped the team, walked up to them, and I had Cirque. You know Cirque, right, Sean? Mm-hmm. I had him lead with the 2-year-old Piggy, and they were not having it. They did not like the glare ice, and so kind of evaluated the team, and most of the dogs were just kind of sitting there like, where are we? And my personal dog, Gibbs, she's my little Spitfire of a dog. She was the only one like up harness banging, no joke, like slipping on the ice and harness banging at the same time. And I was like, well, she's the only dog that seems enthused about this. And so I actually plugged her up in lead, and I took the 2-year-old out. So now it's her and Cirque up there, and she launches us over a few pretty big driftwood trees. And then after, an hour and a half to what felt like 2 hours, all of a sudden we hit a really nice patch of snow and there was a trail marker. And the dogs automatically took a left onto it. And I was like, well, you know what? If we go back to the last checkpoint, that is totally fine. We will restart and we will try again. And I had no idea that if I was going in the right direction for quite a while until I saw Anna in front of me, also going the same direction. And then we followed each other into Talkeetna, and gosh, I came into that checkpoint. The dogs were stoked. Came into that checkpoint hot. They led us around that little cabin that they had, and I tipped my sled and dragged it into the checkpoint.
I did witness that. Yeah, that was good.
And I think I like almost ran over Matt Failer's cooker and everything, and I was just like, wow, I need to kind of take a breather.
I remember watching that, and you like put the snow hook down after you fell over, and like all the volunteers are like, they're like, well, how can we help? How can we help? And you just like it was like a superhero landing off of the ceiling, and after they land, they're just like one knee on the ground, and you just, instead of getting up like ready to fight, you're just like, I just need a fucking moment right now.
Yeah.
Count to 10. I'm gonna count to 10, and we're gonna regroup. And then and that was what I assumed was happening. All I could see was your body language because I was 20 yards away. But
well, I also came I was coming in so hot, and I actually like scorpioned because I hit the ground so hard, and so my back leg, my legs came up. Most of that was me being like, "Is my back broken?" But yeah, it was, gosh, so many silly moments at the beginning of the race. Just like things had control, but felt very out of control. But yeah, I decided to take a longer rest there just because I was like, I need to regroup myself. We've got a longer run, all of this. And so I think I took a 6-hour instead of a planned 4-hour, and it was all good. By the time I left, I was like, we're gonna rock it. We're gonna be good. But
meanwhile, you got like 90% of the race left, and you're like,
yeah, right. But yeah, that sandstorm kind of kicked us. I was sitting there for a second in the midst of it, like just blowing silt into our faces. The dogs, had silt in their eyes, so I tried to brush them off as much as possible. And I think right before I started moving, I was standing there for a while, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna do it, but like, am I really lost right now? Like, do I really need to reach out for help? Because I was like, we could camp here for a couple hours until daylight, but I don't know if that'll help at all. So yeah, really happy we made it out. I definitely thank Gibbs for that. With her enthusiasm and her drive, she just got the team rolling, got them excited to run again. So yeah.
Nice. And then, what did you do? 3 runs to Ruby or 2?
3. Nice. Yeah. So left with a pretty heavy sled, which was great. And yeah, I did 3 runs, had some beautiful camps out on the river, and then came into Ruby hot again. Almost I took a tour through town.
Gosh.
Thanks to Jessie Royer. She was a huge help on that whole thing. But yeah, we cruised up that hill without the dogs didn't even bat an eye at that hill into Ruby. And then they wanted to park me on a little patch of grass, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. And we kept going. But yeah, Jessie Royer saved the day on that and had a good chuckle.
Man, your team is rowdy coming into these checkpoints.
Yeah. It's funny because out on the trail, of course, we're just dinking along. We're just having a blast running and trying to keep my nerves and my anxiety at bay, but the dogs are rocking it. And then we get into the checkpoints and it's like all hell breaks loose. Yes, I know what I'm doing. Kind of.
Yeah, I know. It's like you had a very smooth run, to, except for, I guess, the sandstorm, but that was everybody. And then you come into the checkpoint, people are probably like, Sam she is just such a shit show over here, just coming in, can't control her team. But in reality, like, your runs are going really smooth, and then the dogs are just kind of full of youth and inexperience, and get to the checkpoint, like, we're just so excited, we don't know what to do with ourselves.
Come on, keep going. Yeah. It was fun. I mean, definitely, I have to say, like, most of those times when I couldn't control them at the checkpoints, it was very embarrassing. But also, like, I looked again, Jessie Royer, she kept coming up to me and she's like, your dogs look so good. Like, don't get down on yourself about any of this. Like, they are looking really well. So she was, yeah, huge help on getting my dogs into Ruby, and also just like on the mental side of things. She was awesome. So yeah, dogs were having fun, that's for sure. Can't blame them.
How was the Yukon River up to Caltag? Was it like some great, like, was it like pretty smooth? I feel like that was like when the trail was fast and good for everybody, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think that was a really great run. Everything kind of blurs together now.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't remember it, probably was pretty smooth run.
Yeah, pretty good. I definitely remember the run into Eagle Island and leaving Eagle Island.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get to Caltech 1 and it's like smooth. That's the highway of the Yukon River.
That was
nice beautiful trail. And then you go and do the side quest, and it's a complete mess. That's that's the way that trail always has some kind of issue, because no one goes to Eagle Island. Eagle Island isn't even just a dilapidated cabin.
Yeah.
And, and north of it is, I don't know, 70 plus miles, and south of it's 70-ish miles. And then you've got that nice, what you would think would be a nice trail in those 3 villages down there. Anvik, Shagluk, Grayling, probably in a different order. Grayling, Anvik, Shagluk.
No, and, you had that right. Anvik, Shagluk, Grayling.
And no, I don't think I did.
Anyways, go on.
All right. Anyways, yeah. So it sounded like, I mean, I ended a race or 2 in there, or 3. So you got to feel going to Caltag 1, like, we're in this, like, we're pretty far down the race, and then you turn left and you're like, well, maybe not.
Yeah, getting there was definitely kind of a breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, yeah, we are in this. And I feel much better being this deep into the race rather than like early on. It's like, okay, we can do this. And, leaving my 24, because now I'm drawing a blank. It was Nulato.
Yep.
Yeah. Leaving my 24 was obviously pretty difficult. So getting to Caltag for me, I was like, shit, I'm going to have to take a little bit of rest here for myself. And so getting there, yeah, I was like, well, dogs are looking phenomenal. So I'm going to let them eat, sleep.
What do you mean that it was difficult leaving your 24?
Because that's actually when I messed up my ankle.
Oh,
shit.
So leaving Nulato, yeah, that's it. Like, actually, I was still in the checkpoint, and I was pulling out, and that's when it decided to almost break itself.
Was it just get caught in the story there? Sled?
Yeah.
So the first team parked against this big snowbank, and to get out of the checkpoint, at least where my team was, we had to take a left. And Keaton was parked right next to me, and so luckily he was out and about with his team, and I was like, hey dude, you just want to like block your team because it's a left, the dogs are gonna cut it, and just kind of block your team from me. So he was out there, and I had a few people kind of guiding the team out, and for some odd reason the lead dogs decided to hop on the trail and then just go straight up another snowbank that was basically right across from us where we were parked. And the snowbank that we were up against was plowed, and so it had giant, really hard snowballs, like bigger than basketballs. And I was trying to get the sled over all the straw, 24 hours, worth of straw. I was trying to get that over it and stepped on one of those, and my ankle just collapsed on me. And then, of course, the dogs just kept going. So then I got stuck underneath the tail dragger and and yeah, I remember Keaton was out there, Sydney Ball was out there, and I just said to myself, I was like, shit, I think I just broke my ankle. And Sydney runs up and I'm pretty sure she's a physical therapist. And she's like, you think you broke your ankle? And I was like, yeah, but it's fine. And all my dogs were up on a snowbank in a ball. And I saw that and I was like, I can't really deal with myself right now. I gotta go take care of my team. And she was like, oh, if it's broken, you probably shouldn't. And I felt bad, but I was, a little sassy. I was like, if I can walk on it, it's not broken. She's like, not necessarily.
Wow.
Everybody was awesome at that checkpoint. There was basically a crew of rookie mushers there, and they kind of helped just line out the team and everything, and then went on our merry way. And yeah, I tried to figure out where my head was at, where my ankle was at, and then we got to Caltag, and it was like, all right, we're gonna take a little rest here for the human and not the dogs.
Yeah.
But wow. Yeah, all went well after that. Hobbled around for a little bit, and by the end of the race, I was like, well, we're fine.
I saw you coming into Eagle Island, and I don't think you stopped there.
No, I blew through. Yeah,
Eagle Island 1, that was. And yeah, there was quite a notable, hiccup in your walk. I was like, God, that is, and I just think about you sprain your ankle, and it's like the first thing you want to do is get it up. You want to get it up, and you're kind of forced. I guess and that run into Eagle Island was super gnarly.
It was bad, yeah.
Thundery, icy, whatever nonsense, and so I'm thinking of you on your ankle coming in, and I see you limping, and I'm like, that must have been an insane run, just your ankle just vibrating,
vibrating the entire time, yeah. Oh. And you're switching feet back and forth on your drag mat and everything, and I would just, out of habit, I would switch, and so I tried to keep my left leg, that was the injured ankle, on the runner instead of the drag mat, because that was getting more vibration. And then out of habit, I switched, and it just would jolt this gnarly pain up my leg, and I was like, oh, there it is again. Okay. Go back.
Yeah. How's your ankle right now?
It's I should have gone to the doctor. I did not.
Oh, I was going to tell you. You're going to say.
So I messed up on that side of things. I was actually just talking to Tucker the other day. I was like, I'll be 30 in a couple months here. And I was like, man, Tucker, we're getting old, because I woke up today and I just simply slept wrong on my ankle, because now it hurts and I'm hobbling around again. But no, it's fine. It's great. We're making it work.
I mean, the doctor would have just said, sorry to any doctors listening, but they would have just said, do your stretches, get your ankle strengthening exercises. And, yeah.
Maybe Sydney was onto something there. Maybe
she was. Maybe,
Shout out to Sydney. Might have been.
Trying to look out for you, but then at the same time, shout out to Sam, because you said, "Hey,
yes, yep."
I got 2 legs. I don't need.
If I can walk, I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Who was it? Wasn't it Aaron Burmeister who broke his leg or something? I feel like he shared this story in the rookie meeting. I believe I don't know what year it was, but he broke his leg, and apparently he like to feed his dogs and take care of his dogs and everything, he would like army crawl. And I'm like, all right, I immediately thought of that. I was like, all right, if Aaron can like army crawl with a broken freaking leg, I'm fine. This is nothing compared to what.
God. All right.
That's some next level shit right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What are y'all doing out there? Jesus. Oh man. Okay. All right. So then like Magikarp ride the gnome pretty much, right?
Basically. Just continue down a couple of more 100 miles on the Yukon. Yeah, you're there. Easy peasy.
Yeah, how is the Anvik and Grayling and the Shagaluk in whatever order that is that escapes me right now? How was
that literally is the order. That is the order, dude. Grayling to Anvik to Shagaluk to Grayling. That's it.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. That, it was parts of it, when we were on the river was pretty slow, but I had a lot of fun on those trails. Grayling, I had great coming and going. And then into Shagaluk, that run was just beautiful. That's also kind of when that was another moment where it set in and was like, we're doing this. Like, we're actually doing this. We're a part of this incredible event. And the sun was setting coming to Shagaluk, and it was going through trees and like kind of what I imagined was like a swampy area, and it was just so fun.
Was it really? Was it? It was fun. Man.
Yeah, that run was
nice. Okay, because I swear I remember seeing people moving like 5.
Slow.
I mean, like, an hour, like top 15 teams at that point, which you're not there yet. But you were cruising along a 7.5, I think. If
I remember correctly, that was a pretty fast run for us.
Nice. That's got to be what a sick program. You just you got this firecracker team, and you just take it slow, take it easy. And then this race was so hard on teams. Mentally, even more so. But yeah, and then you're cruising. That second half, you stayed the same speed,
Yeah. And I mean, working with Dallas, he helps you. He makes a schedule for you, and he gives his input on all of that. And so I had a base model of a schedule, and it was for the 2-year-olds. I mean, more competitive than I ran it. And I mean, I look at the schedule that he planned for me, and then I look at what I actually did, and we probably could have we could have placed pretty high if I did follow the schedule. However, that never happens. There's changes on conditions,
follow
weather,
the schedule, something else happens.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, I took that schedule, and I was like, well, you know what, Tanina, I'm gonna give myself an extra hour, because that was a little mind-boggling for all of us, including the dogs, especially with that glare ice. And then I got to Caltag, and I was like, I need to give myself a little bit of time. So I never added too much, because I remember Dallas and quite a few other mushers saying, I talked with Allie Zirkle, and she was like, I've watched all these rookie mushers, and they give themselves 8s at a lot of checkpoints, which is great. You're resting your dogs, but also like that could be too much. And so I kept remembering that. I was like, never fall too close to that. So I kind of kept it between the 4 to 6 hours. And I will admit, sometimes it went a little over 6 because I was slow, but that's my fault. And so, yeah, I definitely banked a lot of rest throughout the entire race. It wasn't, just until like halfway. It was definitely the entire race. But I personally wouldn't have wanted to do it any other way. Those 2-year-olds rocked it, and it was so fun to see some of those guys that I never expected would make to the finish line. Like there were we have a Top Gun litter, Maverick. He didn't make it all the way, but I had Iceman and I had Rooster.
Iceman.
Yeah, what a sweetheart. Rooster never envisioned making it to the finish line of Iditarod. In order to kind of pick a team, in February, I kind of rated the dogs. I had my A, Bs, and Cs, and we had Flounder and Sebastian, who were on the 2024 team, and I had a couple other dogs that were a part of that training in 2024 as well. And I was like, of course, I want to take those guys. Like they're awesome. They're really reliable. And those guys were all A's. And then Rooster, he was a C. He was like one of my last choices. And then had a chat with Dallas prior to, fully picking the team. And he was like, over any of these dogs, like I would love to see all of the 2-year-olds go. And I get that. Absolutely. I was like, I would love to see that too. And I was a little hesitant to take Rooster. And seeing him finish was, holy smokes, super emotional for me. Cause it's like, you proved me wrong so much. Yeah. And so special to see those guys, especially those young dogs, see them gain confidence from the start line to the finish line and see them go through challenge after challenge. And yeah, really special.
It's surprising I feel like the who's going to be good at mile 600 to 1,000. It's just like, it's not necessarily the best dogs in training. It's just, those ones that are, you hear this time and time again, Brennan. It's just like the dog that barely makes your team ends up being the one that is a focal point of the team, and when he gets to the finish line, he didn't expect it. And you're planning on sending dogs home. I mean, like you brought a bunch of 2-year-olds. Like the plan A is like, I'm going to send a few dogs home. You had your picks, and Rooster was one of them.
Yeah. And, some of the ones that I did have to send home, just with the soft snow and everything, they were sore. And so I was like, you know what, 2-year-old, let's get you home. And those guys were on my list to make it to the finish line. So it was an eye opener for me, absolutely, when it comes to, for lack of better terms, judging the dogs on their capabilities. And yeah, definitely an eye opener. And I was so happy to be proved wrong in those situations. But
yeah. So I want to ask you, somewhere along the way, I feel like in between CalTag 1 and 2, whether you recognize it or not, the Rookie of the Year race started kind of heating up. Like for up until that point, I felt like what we were talking about a lot was Emily Ford and how well she was looking. And I want to say you passed her somewhere along the way in that CalTag and back. Yeah. Were you aware of that? Did you, can you talk about a little bit about just like, did you have any, and I think you guys were kind of like back and forth for a while. So like, was there any camaraderie out there? Was it, just kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, going into the race, I had goals set for myself, and obviously those goals are sometimes meaningless depending on the conditions and the dogs and all of that. But one of the goals was to try for Rookie of the Year. And due to my nerves and all of that at the beginning of the race, and just kind of with how chaotic I felt, I was like, you know what? My goal right now is to just take care of the dogs, make sure they're having fun, prove to them that they can make it as far as they want to and as far as they can. And if we get to the finish line, then hell yeah, I will be so happy. And so my goal kind of changed as I started. It was just like, let's just run the dogs. I'm going to, instead of, following the schedule, I'm going to follow how the dogs are doing. I'm going to watch them. And if we need to adjust anything, we'll adjust it. And then, yeah, we got to Caltag. I think it was 1. Yeah, Caltag 1. Or no, sorry, it was Grayling, I think, where I first saw Emily at the checkpoint. And I was a little confused because I heard that she was rocking it. She was doing really well. And I was like, man, I questioned myself. I was like, where am I in the race right now? And I was like, I know, a bunch of these certain mushers are ahead of me. And I was like, but I'm just curious, like, where I'm standing. And I was like, but I don't really care. I'm having fun. Dogs are rocking it. And so that was the first time we saw each other. And then, we were kind of, I think, back and forth a little bit for that whole stretch, that southern stretch. And then Caltag 2, you know what? It was actually Eagle Island. I took my 8-hour in Eagle Island 2. And I was camped, I just got in there. So yeah, again, took the 8-hour, left kind of just doing our thing. And then we actually passed her on the way to the next checkpoint. And I was like, well.
The 8-hour is where?
Eagle Island.
Eagle Island 2.
Yep. And yeah, she came through while I was there. And then I ended up passing her. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I just kind of leveled out that 8-hour gap that we had. And I know she was, turns out she was struggling with the ice and everything. She actually told me, I felt horrible. She told me that as I passed her team was camping. There's a big crack in the ice, and it kind of triggered her dogs a little bit. And they got pretty spooked. Which then, continued on through her upcoming run. But Emily's awesome. I had so much fun traveling with her. After that 8-hour, we kind of stuck together in a way. Not stuck together, but we had similar times. And then we got to, where did we get to? I'm drawing a blank.
Shaktoolik?
Tag or Caltag's next. Then you
we got to Shaktoolik, and that was a pretty tough run in. And again, my ultimate goal is to just have fun with those dogs and prove to them that they can do it. So, of course, I'm competitive, but when it comes to dogs, I'm like, well, we're going to be as competitive as we can be, but it's up to you guys. And I'm, still learning on the whole racing and kind of seeing what the dogs can do. I've only been doing this for 6 years, and that's comparatively not a long time. And so I'm still learning on like what the dogs are fully capable of. And I'm definitely more conservative on that sort of thing. So I'm just doing my thing, having fun with dogs. And the run into Shaktoolik was really hard. And at this point, Emily's behind me. And get there, I had 2 awesome little 2-year-old females leading me into Shaktoolik, and rest there for 6.
Sean, what do you remember of seeing Sam in Shaktoolik? Were you already gone?
The first 4 teams there.
Oh, okay. All right. I was hoping you maybe had seen her. I forgot about that.
But yeah, I decided to take a 6 there. One of the volunteers there, they were like, yeah, most of the other teams decided to take a 6 as well. Just, tough traveling in the next run. So I was like, well, you know what? I will too. I was persuaded for sure. And so took a 6 there, and Emily decided, she showed up like 2 hours behind me. And I was like, hey, Emily, like, how long are you staying? And we chatted a little bit and decided to travel together across the sound. And it was I was really thankful to have her back there. Kind of just as we I stopped a few times, we stopped a few times and chatted, snacked our dogs and all of that, but also it was just like almost a safety. Someone's back there. If anything goes wrong, we've got each other. So really awesome. We got into
Koyak.
Koyak, thank you.
Yep.
We got into Koyak, basically one after the other, and had the same schedule at that point. And it wasn't until Elam where I kind of
made the separation.
Yeah. But oh gosh, yeah, Emily's awesome. It was such I was super thankful to have her out there, and just have another rookie out there to make you feel a little bit better, and know that we're both going through the same thing.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it was, whenever if someone's running a Dallas team, there's certain advantages there. And so seeing Emily, in the first half of the race, kind of leading the pack from a rookie standpoint, I certainly was impressed with what I was seeing. And, I don't know what her, like mushing career is, like if she's going to continue racing or not, but like, certainly impressed for maybe what could be like a one and done,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, she crushed it. I remember getting a few messages from Tucker about just like, I kept voicing about, my mental side of things. And he's like, hey, well, you and Emily are crushing it. Like, it was interesting to kind of like hear his side of things just watching the tracker. And he also was very curious. He was like, are you guys racing? And it's like, I don't know what we're doing. I mean, I guess kind of. And so, I found a little pocket to sneak out. Dogs were rested, so I decided to take I think a 3-hour rest in Elam and then sneak out middle of the night, and that was kind of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you probably had an idea that your team can't be, at the worst, is a little slower than the fastest team. You knew that, you're not going to, odds are your team's going to be a little bit faster. And you probably saw that when you're traveling with Emily, but she came into Caltag 1, I think, in like third place because she took a 24 there.
That's incredible.
Which, but it was like a little bit, she hadn't taken her 24. So, but it was exciting. It was a really exciting thing to see, and it got a ton of attention, and she's super sweet. While filming her, for some reason, I was doing my job and I filmed her like following her team front. She was right next to the camera in Galena, and and her team, every dog just crushed their food. I'm like fully zoomed in on each dog, and
chowing down.
Yeah, Anna like sent me a message and was just like, that was literally like watching my team win the Super Bowl, watching those eat or whatever. And and I would say Brendan, like having Emily on is definitely pretty high on my list.
Dude, hey, all right. Let me put it out there now. Y'all have to help me collectively because I've reached out. I have not heard back. I've reached out to Anna. I've not heard back. So much love to them. I want to hear them. I want to get them on. I want to hear their story. I think they have a good story. So I'd love to get them on for the viewers' sake. But
I want to say they're also kind of starting their own kennel in Minnesota. Social media told me.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But nice. I want to say they kind of might be along the same pathway as Tucker and I right now. There's Iditarod and then starting their own thing, which is exciting.
Yeah. That's badass. I love that.
So we finished the Iditarod. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Can like real quick, blowhole, was it a thing? Was it not?
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, blowhole. What are you talking about?
And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, there's kind of a weird side of me that was a little sad that it was so nice out.
Yeah,
okay.
The coast was just
it was pristine.
Yeah, it was vacation coast.
Yeah, I got down to that little shelter cabin right before the blowhole, and I didn't have jackets on at that point, so I was just like, because we were climbing hills and all of that, we got down and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop at this little shelter cabin and put jackets on before we get out there because I know it's going to be windy. And Whitney was actually there, Whitney and Virginia there, which was just like, gosh, a light in my day at that point. And I asked them, I was like, hey, how's it out? How's it going out there? Like, how's the blowhole? And they're like, you would never imagine. It's like so beautiful. And I hit that right at sunset as well. And so I had a lot of beautiful sunset runs.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, it was a little windy, but some of the stories I've heard, it was a piece of cake.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get to the finish line. Talk about the emotions getting there to Nome. Did you have some friends and family there? Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, getting to the finish line, man. So the coast in general was super magical for me. I had a really hard time getting through the Yukon and all of that. Just, I think as everybody else did, it was mentally very, very difficult. I kept convincing myself that my dog team couldn't make it. And, there's always the rule, like, you got to show your dogs confidence because it will also give them the confidence to do it, right? And your mood always affects your team. I learned that my very first year of mushing. And so, not gonna lie, I was pretty worked up getting to Unicolete. And I finally made it to the coast and I was like, all right, let's go. Like we can do anything we want now. Like we can make it all the way to Nome. We're only a couple 100 miles away now. And so the coast in general was magical. And then, yeah, getting close to Nome, going up and over the hills and everything. We were like 15 miles out from Nome and you were able to see the lights and everything. And then we got down onto like leveled ground and onto the ice and definitely cried a lot to myself. I was just like, wow, I've been working for this for quite a while. And it feels kind of unreal right now. So yeah, it was a magical feeling. Tucker actually met me out on the ice. There was this man standing out there, like, how you're parallel with Front Street for a while there before you actually hop up onto it. Well, shit.
Way to kill the mood, Sean. Jeez.
Yeah, damn.
Here she is telling us about that moment, just crushing it. Gosh.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, like I'm at the point where the cop car turns on its lights to help kind of like guide me down and cruising along parallel with Front Street, and there's this person standing on the ice, and my little dog Gibbs, she's the most vocal dog ever. She'll bark at any tree, growing across the sound. There were the trail stakes, and then there were little pine trees or little trees, and she would bark at every tree, which was incredible because she, gave the dogs a little bit of energy. But then we got down to Front Street and yeah, there's this person standing out there and Gibbs is just freaking out. She was like, who is this? Ended up being Tucker. And so, yeah, he met me down on the ice and, yeah, I had a little emotional moment there. And then we cruised up onto Front Street. And let me tell you, Front Street also, you're so close to the finish line, and it also it gave us a ride. There was no snow. It was basically all ice on the road. and you're cruising next to bars and parked cars and everything on the side of the street, and the dogs are looking for snow. And at one point there was a crowd standing outside one of the bars, and I had Gibbs and Cirque up in lead. Gibbs actually single led almost that entire run, but she's a pretty nervous dog when it comes to crowds and stuff. So I threw Cirque up in lead to kind of help support her. And the dog saw this crowd and just beelined it to the bar.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, I can literally see my parents like standing at the finish line, and they're just like beelining it to the bar. And there's these people like cheering, and I'm like, hey, push my team. And it took them a little bit to understand what I was saying, but they just kind of like shoot them over back into the middle of the road and finally cruised up. And I think one of the coolest things about getting to the finish line was hearing my parents. Like before you get up to that little ramp, I could hear my dad just cheering, and he was my softball coach for almost my entire life. And so it just kind of took me back to those golden days of playing softball and him being my coach. And yeah, he was cheering me on like he would at third base as I was up to bat. And yeah, so that was really, really cool. And I had some awesome people up at the finish line who came from the kennel as well. Jess, Holly, obviously Dallas and Nita. So that was super special and a little overwhelming, not gonna lie. I was like, wow, how do I feel? What do I do? But yeah, it was special to say the least.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Sounds amazing. And yeah, congrats. I'm like sitting there, I'm like at the edge of my seat listening to this story. I'm like, oh yeah, then what?
My dog went to the bar. I was like, seriously, like, I can't put in a break. Like, I can't put in a snow hook. What do you want me to do here? So I'm glad they listened to my G's.
Nice.
Where are you from?
Originally from Michigan.
Michigan. That's the one. Brennan, go ahead.
Well, glad you asked. So, Michigan to Alaska. What got you to Alaska? I guess we're kind of doing this backwards, but
yeah.
Tell us about how you got to Alaska and what even got you in the dogs in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in like Metro Detroit area, and then went to college in Marquette, Michigan. So up in the Upper Peninsula, right on Lake Superior, and they have, there's the UP 200 up there, 200-mile race that goes from Marquette to Grand Marais. So beautiful run. I want to do that race one day. But yeah, my freshman year of college, my best friend and I actually volunteered for the UP 200 to be dog handlers. And so we were just helping the teams get to the starting line. And pretty magical moment. I mean, that race takes off right downtown Marquette. They close the street just like they do in Anchorage. Crowds line the street and they take off. And so, yeah, I volunteered for that with no interest in running dogs, like no idea how to even get into it. And graduated college in 2016, and then I got a job in Juneau working for Alaska Icefield Expeditions. And I handled on the glacier for Shani Traska. And yeah, she kind of just taught me the basics of sled dogs. And then I adopted one of her young dogs who just wasn't interested in running. And he kind of, he never liked to run, but just owning him, I was like, well, I got to try it. And I actually, through Shani, I got a job up in Two Rivers with Will Trushinsky.
Nice.
And so
that was it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then all she wrote.
The rest is history.
Now you got the Lost Sourdough Outfitters.
You get that one sled dog, and then you're in trouble.
So I'm curious, is there any aspiration on Tucker's end to run the Iditarod?
And shout out to Tucker finishing first place in the ski division of the 350-mile Iditarod
ITI. Yes.
ITI. Yeah.
Dude, what a beast.
What a badass.
Yeah. That was pretty special. I didn't think I was going to see him at my starting. We both have had these goals and we're like kind of doing it independently. Him up here in Esther and myself down in Talkeetna. And I didn't, when I sent him off on his race, it's like, well, maybe I guess I'll see you in Nome. And then all of a sudden he just crushes his race and finishes in 4 days. He's one of 3 people who have finished in under 5 days.
Damn.
So he
on skis.
On skis. Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Just
but he had to walk for the dirt part, right?
He did have to walk a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty funny when I sent him off at the starting line. He was in tennis shoes and he was walking with 2 sets of skis on his backpack. And it's like, well, so much for a ski race. But sounds like obviously it got a lot better as he went further north. But yeah, as far as his aspirations for running dogs, I mean, he worked with Ryan as well in 2022. And he's more so excited to run his own dogs. And so
cool.
He never really enjoyed handling for somebody else. And so, getting our own personal dogs is super exciting for both of us. He's awesome with the dogs. All of these, the 5 that we have right now are spoiled rotten. And so, he's obviously more into skiing. He's going to be doing the ITI again next winter. So keep an eye on that. But his goals are more ski oriented, but he likes to train, and possibly you might see him in a race or 2. I'll convince him.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I saw he ran the Copper Basin, so that's why I was kind of curious if there was. He's got one in the bag. He just needs a couple more to be qualified. So
yeah. I don't know if he'll ever want to do the Iditarod, but he absolutely wants to do the 1,000-mile ITI, which is
nice.
Busy, but.
So what about you? So you guys you're getting this off the ground. You've finished the Iditarod. Do you have any, is it like you want to get back to Iditarod? Are you just mentioned the UP 200, which you're like, I feel like the 6th or 7th guest that we've had on has good things to say about that event. Where are you? Where do you see yourself at with this whole mushing thing?
Yeah, I mean, the dogs that we're getting, the 8 dogs that we are getting, they're 4 going on 5. I mean, they're incredible dogs. But they have not done a training season. So they did tours last winter, but they did not do any like race training or anything. So definitely want to partake in a couple races this winter. We're just kind of seeing where the dogs are at. So we're going to do some fall training and see where they're at. I would love to support the quest this upcoming winter. Back home in Fairbanks now, so might as well support the home race. And see a couple other smaller races to kind of see where those dogs are at. And then we're having this litter. We'll see how many we have, but with Iditarod, I always told myself I'll see how it goes. But I never really thought I'd want to do it again. But as far as these dogs go, like they are incredible. So I do see myself trying again.
Okay. All right.
Well, we'll see. I definitely want to do the normal route from Willow to Nome, from Anchorage to Nome. So that's definitely a big factor. I want to go through the gorge and I want to try all that. So we'll see. I mean, it's up to how the dogs are looking and how we're feeling. We're kind of more. I mostly want to have a team of dogs so we can go have fun. Obviously, racing does present a lot of fun opportunities, but I like the Brooks Range trips and all of that more. So I'm looking forward to more of those trips and being able to take our own dogs up there. And so, yeah, we're looking more to have fun with them and explore a little bit.
Yeah. In conclusion, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You know, nice. All right. So earlier we talked about Ryan Olsen. I would assume that she's like a big proponent in your like mushing career in terms of being like an asset or resource or whatever. You also mentioned Allie Zirkle and talking to her before the race, and that's someone that I've always like, God, I'd love to get her on, but just knowing that you've been able to talk to her and stuff, talk a little bit about her role in things, and just like I'm just curious to your story of talking to her just had me curious.
Yeah, I mean, she lived down the road from us when we were in Two Rivers, and Ryan handled for her. That's kind of how Ryan got started. So they have a great relationship. I don't know Allie all too well, but I reached out to her via email and I was just like, hey, I've got a lot of questions regarding Iditarod. You've done it plentiful of times and have been very successful. And I look up to your approach on how you run your dogs. And so I was like, I feel like I can agree with everything you do and how you take care of everybody. And so, yeah, reached out to her, and gosh, she wrote the most incredible email back to me, multiple emails of just like tips and tricks. And she went from, this was before we knew about the route change, but she started at the very first run all the way to Nome, and she was like, hey, 15 miles down the trail you'll have this cabin on the right. Make sure don't miss it, but there's that cabin if you want it. And 2 miles down the trail here on the left. Like, just so in-depth help, or such in-depth help, and such detailed help. It was super nice. And she also told me, she was like, it's going to be hard and it's going to be mentally difficult, but know that the dogs can do it. And I think that was the biggest thing. There was so much in that email that I took, but one of the biggest things was just like, know that the dogs can do it, and that it's more mental for you if you're convincing yourself that they can't do it. And so, yeah, there's not much else to say about that. She actually, when I first moved up here, she gave me a parka that we still have. Tucker wears it all the time. And it's down past my knees. And she gave me a 40 below sleeping bag, and I actually used that right up until this winter. And so she was just, super generous when I first moved up here, and, not having a parka, not having any extreme winter gear and everything. So, and then giving me all this awesome advice and insight on the.
That's awesome. Every time I hear her talk about dogs, talk about mushing, I'm always like, no one is. Oh, sorry, you cut off. I thought you were done speaking, but it was just lagging.
You just froze.
But every time I hear Allie talk about dogs or mushing, like, she encapsulates like what I want to say and what like I think every musher wants to say about mushing and what it means and why we love it.
She's so good at putting it into words.
She's so good at that. Like, and just that advice of like, yes, the dogs can do it. It's you that's going to come. You thinking they can't will come way before they, and then just like, I remember seeing some speech of hers where she's like, I feel bad for the dogs that don't get to go on that are back at home, don't feel bad for these guys, and just such a good. Every time I hear her talk, I'm just like, just an incredible ambassador. And she's gone and had a nice quiet retirement and spending time on a boat and
heck yeah, living the life.
Yeah, she's earned it. And so I'm glad to hear that, she's back in the background of mushing once in a while, just talking to people. And I'm sure you're not the only one. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Brendan, I know we're coming up on some bonus time here, so why don't we do some wrap up questions? I'll start. Here's a question that I struggle to put into words. I don't know how to say this question right the way I want to, but what do you think from your perspective, having ran as like a B team, let's say, or just like running out of another kennel, and then you have like other rookies that Keaton, for example, would be one, and a few others this year and many others in the history of the race. But like, do you think of yourself as like I am the rookie of the year unequivocally, or do you think like, well, I'm rookie of the year, but also like I came in and I'm like on this Dallas program that's been going for a decade and plus, and then these guys have their own kennel, but now you're starting your own kennel. Now you're getting on the other. It's like, what do you think about like that whole conversation? You kind of understand where I'm getting at there? Like, I don't even know what my question is, but I'm just like,
I mean, kind of, I look up to the folks like the rookies that I ran with this year who have their own kennel and did all, like Keaton. I look up to them so dang much. That's definitely, it's a goal. Maybe not. We'll run Iditarod, but yeah, I look up to those guys so much because it takes so much work, and just he crushed it in his race.
Yeah, he did so good. It was so fun seeing him at White Mountain. He was like ecstatic, and
but yeah, seeing those guys who do have their own team, it's definitely inspirational because it's like, okay, this is possible, this is doable. Keaton makes it work, and all of these other folks who do it, it's possible. And I don't know if that.
Yeah, no,
he didn't ask a question. He
I didn't really ask
rambled.
A question. I'm just kind of like, there is like, it's of note. Like, I feel like, if you're a casual Iditarod fan, which is like 80% of the fans are casual fans, and they're like, all right, like Sam's rookie of the year, like, but there's more to it. Like, you got these awesome like setup that you get to be a part of, and it's not taking away anything from your accomplishments. But then you got like Keaton, and like I've heard of how his winter's gone. Was an insane winter of training for him. My buddy Cody.
Same with Connor. Connor's kind of doing it on his own.
So it's like, it's different. It's just a little bit, it's of note, so I'm just kind of like curious what you think.
Absolutely. And like we live right down the road from Joe Taylor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And he's
shout
also
out to Joe.
Shout out to Joe. He's also, him and Sam are such an inspiration too, because like, he has how many dogs? I forget when he raced, what was it, the Cusco? He had 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like those types of kennels for Tucker and I are the most inspirational because we don't want a lot of dogs. We want to have this litter, and this might be our last litter. Like we want to make it really special and really meaningful for us and the dogs. And, like we've got the 5 right now, they sleep inside with us every night. And like one of them, Gibbs, she wakes us up at 6 a.m. every morning. And she's like, all right, let's go.
No. God damn it.
Yeah. And so like, that's how we want our dogs to be, and our team to be. So yeah, all of those smaller kennels are such inspiration for us.
All right. Yeah. So when you're on the runners training, are you listening to anything? And if so, what are you listening to?
Ooh. So my sister actually.
Podcast? Are you music?
I do both. More music. I like to sing along a lot.
Nice.
So more music than podcasts, but podcasts I definitely listen to. Gosh, a lot of This American Life and Hidden Brain and all those fun series. But a lot of music. Before Iditarod, the restart, she made me, backtracking, she made me an envelope for each day. And she was like, can you take, do you have room to take this on the race with you? And I was like, of course, yeah. And she labeled it she made, I think, 12 days. And each one was labeled. And that first one, she had me open up the night before the race, and it had a little QR code, and she was like, I want you to scan this. And it took me to a Spotify playlist that her husband and my other sister made. And it was, I forget what they called it. I think like the Midwest Mushing Princess or something was the name of the playlist. And it was just a bunch of random, so much better when somebody else makes you a playlist, because you don't know what's on it. And so that was really fun for Iditarod. But yeah, I listened to a lot of music, a lot of bluegrass. Eminem randomly was a big hit for me this winter.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Sean?
Go-to snack.
Go-to snack? Ooh, baby, beef sticks.
Also, but you gave me some chocolate and Nome. I very much appreciate that.
And Tony's chocolate. Honestly,
Tony's
that combination is wonderful. But yeah, I basically lived off of Tony's chocolate and beef sticks.
Nice. You get so much. The meat sticks are special. It's a special thing. I feel like, yeah, it's a great snack, quality snack.
What brand of meat sticks? We should insert that commercial right here.
I was just gonna say the Bavarian meats from Costco.
Bavarian meat.
They're so good. And I don't know, Sean, you might understand this, but I can still eat them after Iditarod. Like, I am not sick of them whatsoever, which
that's wild.
To show how good they are.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Favorite checkpoint on the Iditarod experience?
Ooh.
That's a good one. I have to say Unalakleet.
Nice. And let's see. You were there you got to experience like the amenities there, or were you in and out?
Yeah, I got to stay.
Oh, yeah, you stayed.
Somebody sent me a pizza. Some stranger sent me a pizza that they live in Michigan, and found out about that whole thing.
Crazy.
So wonderful. And then, all the volunteers were making like blueberry pancakes and bacon, and gosh, it was good.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Like, a dog doesn't have to. I don't like saying best anything, but a notable dog team that you saw on the trail of any race, really, that you just like, you were on the trail and you saw this team and you're like, damn.
Ooh. Oh gosh. I traveled with her quite a bit back and forth. I'd have to say, for Iditarod at least, Anna. Her team, like, always looked phenomenal. Always. It's just like, got up to go. We stayed at a lot of checkpoints together, and they were like, hell yeah, let's go. And cruising by when we were camped out on the trail. They were just trotting by, looked happy as ever and healthy as ever. And I was like, dang, she knows what she's doing.
Nice. Yeah. And her maiden, that was like her first, like, solo Iditarod without her sister for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt kind of goofy at some points, because we were camped next to each other quite often, and we did see each other on trail a lot. And I would just, asking silly rookie questions, and she'd always be like, Sam, you're doing great. Like, don't worry. She was super sweet.
All right, Sean and I've had this conversation a few times. To shower or not to shower at your 24?
Not to shower.
Okay.
You're gonna wash off all that grease. That's a protective layer.
You gotta keep the stench on.
Checkpoint too. That's surprising.
Yeah. No, Dallas, I remember him sharing a story about when he showered at his 24, and it was a colder race. And he shared that, it was cold. And then after his shower and after his 24, he was actually colder for quite a long time. And he thinks it was due to the shower. He's like, I washed off all my grease.
Okay. Interesting theory. I like it though.
Yeah. Top like delirious moment, like a delirious moment that you had?
Oh man, this goes way back to my first race. I still remember this because it was ridiculous. It was the Willow 300, and this was a long time ago. I don't remember what point it was, but we were kind of in a swampy area, and the trail kind of like backtracked a lot, going back and forth. And so it looked like we would be passing a team head on. But it was just a different section of the trail. And it was, the worst time of the night. It was like 2, 3, 4 a.m., whatever it was. And in my head, I was like, holy shit, we're in a maze. And like all these volunteers and all these like fans of the race are just like watching on TV us going in the freaking maze and just laughing at us. And I like fully convinced myself that we were just like going in circles for 300 miles. Because that run it looked the same the entire time. So, couple times this year on the highway, there were a lot of moose on my highway trips, and that's the most annoying hallucination, is when you think you see a moose in front of the team and then there's nothing there.
Oh gosh. All right. How do you feel about a Mount Rushmore of mushers?
We can end it on this one.
Yeah, and it can be like it doesn't have to be necessarily okay, X person has won X amount. It's just like what your opinion, your opinion of who, like, maybe you respect the most, or who's done it the right way, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, dogs are freaking out. I'd have to say Dallas, of course. He taught me so much, and he obviously knows what he's doing. And I highly look upon the way they run their dogs.
You cut out after you said Dallas. If you can pick up from that.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna let the dogs out real quick. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Ryan. Of course, she taught me and Tucker and I a lot. But then Paige, Cody, they all have very similar ethics in running their dogs and all of that. And then probably Matt too, Matt Hall.
Nice.
It's a good one.
I like it. That works.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and what a pleasure that was.
Gosh, I feel like we could talk for ages.
I know. That was like an hour and a half. I was like, I could get how people do 3-hour podcasts, because you get good, like, damn.
Get into some dog talk.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface.
We just talked Iditarod and for like an hour plus, but it was cool. Yeah,
that's great.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, say hi to Tucker, and
we'll just real quickly promote the website one last time for all things Sam Lalonde. Visit sourdoughOutfitters.com. It's well organized. It's well run. There's good pictures, good stories
this year.
So,
and we've got our own Instagram and Facebook as well. And
we're going to hit you a follow immediately.
Oh yeah. There's going to be a lot of puppy pictures coming soon. So,
sweet.
Nice.
Mushing, Alaska. And we also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.